No maid had ever survived more than a single day inside the billionaire's mansion. The triplets, three beautiful but untamed little forces of chaos, had broken every rule, every toy, and every person sent to care for them. Some quit crying before lunchtime, others fled before breakfast was even over. Their father, the famously private billionaire Adrian Cole, had stopped believing anyone could manage them. Until the day Evelyn arrived. She was not like the others. Tall, graceful, her warm brown skin glowing against the crisp autumn light, with eyes that seemed to carry stories no one dared ask about. She did not shrink from the mansion's towering gates or the long marble hallway that echoed with her footsteps. Instead, she walked in with the quiet confidence of someone who knew exactly who she was. Mrs. Graves, the head housekeeper, met her in the grand foyer. Her silver hair was pulled into a severe bun, her lips pressed in a thin line. She looked Evelyn up and down with the weariness of someone who had seen too many hopeful faces walk in and walk right back out. "Another one," Mrs. Graves muttered under her breath. "Poor thing, she won't last till dinner." But Evelyn only smiled, a small, knowing smile that did not reach her eyes. "Children are never impossible," she said softly. "They're just waiting for the right person to understand them." As they walked through the mansion, the silence was broken by a sudden burst of laughter, not the sweet kind, but the kind that meant trouble. It came from upstairs, sharp, high-pitched, and full of mischief. Mrs. Graves sighed heavily. "They've already started." Evelyn followed the sound into a grand playroom. The walls were painted in soft pastels, but the floor told another story. Crayons scattered everywhere, overturned chairs, a stack of books toppled onto the rug, and in the middle of it all stood three identical faces. Daniel, the eldest by 2 minutes, crossed his arms and smirked. "Another one. She'll be gone before lunch." His brother Caleb grinned, tossing a small ball in the air. "I give her an hour." And the youngest, Liam, tilted his head innocently. "Maybe she'll cry. They always cry." Evelyn crouched down, meeting their eyes without flinching. Her voice was calm, almost gentle. "I think I will last long enough to see what you're really made of." For the first time in a long time, the triplets didn't laugh. The challenge came sooner than Evelyn expected. Barely an hour into her first morning, the triplets had already vanished. One moment they were in the playroom, staring at her with those identical mischievous eyes, and next, gone. Mrs. Graves shook her head. "And so it begins." Evelyn, however, did not rush. She moved through the mansion with steady, measured steps, listening. She could hear faint whispers, the scrape of small shoes on polished wood. She knew the pattern. They wanted her to chase them. That was the first trap. Her years working in childcare and her deeper, unspoken years working in far more demanding environments had taught her one thing: whoever controls the pace controls the game. She finally found them in the kitchen, standing on stools, dumping sugar into the floor. Daniel grinned when he saw her. "Oops," he said. "Guess you'll have to clean that up." Liam added, "And maybe you should hurry before we accidentally spill the flour, too." Evelyn just stood there. She did not scold, she did not flinch. Instead, she walked over to the pantry, took out 3 brooms, and set them in front of the boys. "You made the mess, so you can clean it." Caleb laughed. "That's not how it works. The maid's clean." "I am not just a maid," she said, her tone soft but unyielding. "I'm someone who will teach you to respect the people who help you." They exchanged glances, clearly not expecting this. Most adults who dared to discipline them either shouted until they turned red or tried bribing them with candy. This calm, steady refusal to be moved threw them off. Daniel scowled but grabbed a broom. "Fine." Caleb followed, muttering under his breath. Liam tried to make a joke, but found himself sweeping alongside his brothers. It was not perfect. They spilled more than they swept, and flour clouds rose around them. But for the first time, Evelyn saw a flicker in their eyes. Not defiance, but curiosity. By lunch, they were sitting at the table eating grilled cheese sandwiches without throwing them across the room. Mrs. Graves nearly dropped her tray when she saw. "What did you do?" she whispered. Evelyn smiled faintly. I listened to them, and I made them listen back. The triplets glanced at each other, silently plotting their next move. She could feel it. The real test was still coming, and that night, it arrived.
By nightfall, the mansion had grown quiet. Too quiet. The triplets were supposed to be asleep, matching blue pajamas, tucked neatly into their oversized beds in the West Wing nursery. But when Evelyn peeked inside, she found only rumpled blankets and pillows stuffed under the covers in the shape of small bodies. She exhaled slowly. This was no accident. Following faint giggles and the soft patter of bare feet, she pushed open the door to the indoor pool room. There they were, 3 small silhouettes against the shimmering water. Buckets sat beside them, sponges in hand, water trailing in a glittering path across the marble floor. Daniel turned first. "The last maid quit after this," he said, a challenge in his voice. Caleb added, "We call it soak the servant." Evelyn studied them. The defiance, yes, but also something else, a flicker of desperation buried under the bravado. She had seen it before in children who had lost something or someone. Instead of scolding, she set down her bag, rolled up her sleeves, and stepped toward them. "Then I suppose it's my turn to play," she said. The boys blinked. No yelling, no threats, no fear. Evelyn grabbed a bucket and with a swift motion sent a wave splashing harmlessly into the pool, sending spray across the boys' legs. Daniel's mouth fell open. Caleb laughed in disbelief. Liam hesitated, then flung his sponge at her. Soon, water was flying everywhere, not in malice, but in joy. The air was filled with squeals and laughter, echoing off the high glass walls. For the first time since she had arrived, their mischief wasn't about chasing her away, it was about pulling her in. When the chaos settled, they sat side by side on the pool's edge, wrapped in towels Evelyn had brought from the linen closet. She crouched down, meeting their eyes one by one. You do not have to make someone miserable to see if they will stay. You can just ask them to stay. Daniel's smile faded. They all left, every time. Because they didn't see you, Evelyn replied. Not the real you. Liam's lip trembled. Caleb looked away. And Evelyn knew, behind their tricks and chaos was a wound that had never healed. She just did not know yet how deep it went. But by morning, she would. The next morning, Evelyn woke before dawn. The mansion was silent except for the faint hum of the heating system. She padded toward the kitchen to start breakfast, but stopped when she heard voices coming from the far side of the hall. She followed the sound to the indoor playroom. Daniel, Caleb, and Liam sat in a circle on the carpet, speaking in hushed tones. They didn't notice her at first. "Do you think she'll leave too?" Liam asked, his voice small. Daniel hesitated. "They all do, even the nice ones." "But she played with us," Caleb whispered. "She didn't yell. She didn't call Dad." Evelyn stepped into the doorway. The boys froze. "I heard what you said, and I think it's time you told me why you've been chasing everyone away." Silence. Then Daniel's chin trembled. "Because if we make them leave first, it doesn't hurt so much when they go on their own." The words hit Evelyn like a blow. She kneeled down, lowering herself to their level. "Who left you?" she asked softly. Caleb's eyes filled with tears. "Our mom. She got sick, and then she was just gone. People kept coming after that, but no one stayed. Not for long." It all made sense now. Their chaos wasn't cruelty, it was armor. Every prank, every mess, every impossible demand, it was just a test, a desperate way to ask, "Will you stay even if I make it hard?" Evelyn reached out, pulling all 3 boys into her arms. "I'm not your mother, but I promise you this, I will not run from you. Not today, not tomorrow. I will be here." Daniel clung to her, burying his face in her shoulder. Caleb's small hand gripped hers like a lifeline. Liam whispered in her ear, "Promise?" "Promise." From that day forward, the mansion felt different. Breakfasts were eaten without food fights. The playroom rang with real laughter, not taunting mischief. The triplets still had their wild streak, but now it was safe to let their guard down. Mrs. Graves watched it all with astonishment. "I don't know what you did," she said quietly one afternoon, "but I think you've done what no one else could." Evelyn smiled as the triplets ran past her, their footsteps echoing down the hall. "I didn't tame them," she said. "I just loved them enough to stay." And for the first time in a long, long time, the mansion finally felt like a home.